Well, good evening and welcome to our talk this evening. We're coming to the last in our series on studying the Bible, what is there, and now we're going to consider passages to help us through life's experiences. So the subject suggests that life's experiences can be challenging, something that we need help with. They're things that we need to get through and reach calmer waters on the other side. Well, life indeed is challenging. No one goes through life on the proverbial bed of roses. Most people experience a mixture of good times and not so good times. And frequently we experience a mixture at the same time. While we may react to some of these things instinctively, instinct may not always come up with the best answers for everything. Human nature can be fickle, so we need some guidance. And why look to the Bible for help in this? Will it provide a guide through dilemmas in a way that everyone will find helpful? Well, we believe the answer to that is yes. The Bible outlines the very reason for our existence, how human life began, why it began, and what's in store for the future. The Bible is the Word of God, and as our Creator, He knows us inside out. He has provided for us a wonderful future to look forward to, when we will no longer be subject to the and He takes us through human history, worked out through a people that He has chosen as His own. Perhaps surprisingly, we find that life was not all sweet for them. Yet from an early age, they will be able to make decisions and reach an understanding of the world in which they live. In the book of Exodus, religious relationship with God, successful living. The Exodus was marked by a special celebration called the Passover. Verse promised, Ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, Tick as the Exodus. This was God's command, and we can well imagine that Jesus himself was taught it by Joseph and Mary. By their teens, when they begin to enter young adulthood, they have to make decisions of their own. Life can be difficult. We are all well aware of the heavy toll which modern life makes on the mental well-being of young people. Peer pressure, jealousy, uncertainty, sometimes fear beset a young person's life. And so we come to another example from the Bible. The 17-year-old Joseph came from a large family of older brothers, and because of their father's fondness of him, they became jealous. The book of Genesis records how they were exasperated by his precocious behaviour, and they sold. Joseph was not to see his family for many years. But there was something about Joseph which his brothers lacked, which was integrity and faith in God. Down there in Egypt, many miles from his home, Joseph's behaviour was exemplary. Setbacks he did have, but he was also given responsibility, and he was well respected, and he became extremely prosperous. This success, though, didn't go to his head. And later in life, the reason for his experiences became apparent. A severe famine brought the rest of the brothers back to Egypt from Canaan. They came to buy food. And in Egypt, Joseph had become in charge of Egypt's reserves of grain. And on their second journey to buy food, the brothers were reunited And Joseph discerned that God had been working in his life all through those years of painful separation. Richly rewarded by God, whose high principles Joseph had followed. The family was reunited. Now to people who have heavy responsibilities as adults, perhaps with a family to feed. There were some dark times. Turned back to God. And God sent faithful prophets to warn them of the folly of their ways. And those prophets were also sent for the comfort of the few who still did. In her distress, she appealed to the prophet Elisha, who was known to her. Thine handmaid, we read, hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. To the man of God, there was an answer to this problem, and it was stunningly simple, because God was in charge. And a miracle was about to happen. Shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. Every jar was filled. And then, we might think that things like this don't happen today. And perhaps that may be true in the literal sense, but equally amazing things do happen. How so? Well, in Psalm 37, we read these verses, not of the widow woman, and it still holds true. There are a number of examples in the Bible of faithful people who reached the end of their lives with a wonderful future in prospect, when God's kingdom will be set up upon the earth. That prospect has become more precious to them as their age increased. And we know this is true for believers today. Times of disappointment and trial. But they really had nothing to worry about, because their present lives were a preparation for the future. We've only been able to include one example per category in this. Jesus could see that Paul had the potential to use his energy and his intellect through his many epistles. But at the end of his life, Paul was himself facing the prospect which he had once threatened the Christians of. And this is what he said: I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. And not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. His example, his willingness to change, and his steadfast faith and zeal right until the end are things that we can reflect on too. And we can look forward to the same future that lies planned for our studies together. Thank you for being with us.